Nathan, you're the first thing on the agenda.
Aren't you lucky?
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. First matter I have for you tonight is request to advertise for an additional appropriation for local match support for the Willow Creek Villas housing development. Earlier this year, as you may recall, the board and council generally agreed to providing some sort of support once we saw how the project materialized and whether or not it would be funded by the IHCDA. Then had a couple of follow-up conversations with Sullivan Development and Board President Mellon, but of course at that point nothing was set in stone. Last week, Travis Venzel from Sullivan Development and I met with Mr. Mellon, Vice President Titi, and Ms. Hazimi Jimenez to discuss this support. I am now asking the council to advertise for a $350,000 additional that would be used to make a low-interest loan to Willow Creek Villas LLC as local match support for this development, which is proposed for East Galbraith Drive and supported by tax credits through the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority. I'll be asking the commissioners to authorize legal counsel to begin drafting the necessary loan documents pending council's approval of advertisement. And John Sullivan of Sullivan Development is with me this evening to provide an overview of the project and to answer any questions. So I'm going to let him go ahead and take over while I run the slide deck.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate the time today and I appreciate the support for the project. As Nathan said, it's when we pursue these projects, it's a pretty long process. It's a very competitive process, and there are a lot of applicants and a lot of cities and communities across the state that are pursuing these funds. And the agency, Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority, doesn't want to award projects that aren't supported by local communities. They, as part of that support, what they ask to see is some sort of contribution from the city. Up to 10% of the project cost is the amount that kind of maximizes our chances for an award. And so in this round, we went up against special set aside that we're trying to award projects to communities that hadn't been awarded tax credits in a long time. Pulaski County hadn't been awarded credits, I believe, over 15 years. There's only 20-something units total of tax credit housing in the county. And so that was one of the 4 counties that were lowest in the state of Indiana. So they prioritized funding for it this round. We were, thanks to the support of the community, we were able to beat out several other projects for funding. We received tax credits in the amount of $9.6 million to fund the development of the project, which is a substantial amount. Right now we're in the process of moving towards closing on it and starting construction on that by around October. But I'll walk through a little bit about us so you can understand who we are as a company, how we came to be, how this project came to answer questions that may come up. So overall, our mission of the company is we want to work with communities to support the housing objectives that we have. We really want to be a partner. And so when we first started off here, our first call to the community was to reach out to Nathan to gauge the support for a project like this. You know, we want to understand what the community wants to see. We want to develop the sort of project that would have a lasting impact in the community. And so this is one that was, stood out as a great fit. Little background on myself, I actually know Winnemac well. My wife's family's from here. It's the Bennett's. Kate Bennett's my wife. Susan and Kevin Bennett are her parents. So I've been up here a lot, and anytime I'd come up, they'd be like, oh, you should be here. There's a need for housing. And so it was something that fit well when I saw that the state agency was really prioritizing funding Pulaski County as well across Indiana. If you want to go to the next slide. So here's the location of the site. It is off of Galbraith Drive. It'll be a little under 4 acres. It's, if you're familiar, it's right behind the Sanders complex. It's based right there, shopping center right there. And right behind it, we won't be using the entire site just based on we're trying to be efficient on it, and we'll save some land for a potential future phase. But we will be fitting 34 units on the site, as you can see there. That's the final configuration. We've permitting and all into the state to move forward. They will be 2 stories. If you want to go to the next slide. It'll be in the future, but there'll be a 2-story product, 5 buildings total. They'll have attached garages on the first floor. Quick summary, this kind of hashes back on my intro on all this, but there'll be 34 2-bedroom apartments, total development cost of approximately $10 million. And in order to secure that, we're able to get the participation of both the city and the county in the form of a pilot, which stands for payment of taxes, went to Strome to the county, as well as a reduction in the overall tap fees for the project. That got us to 10% that we needed in order to get the state agency to support the project. That allowed us to actually win out over several other communities that are also going after funding that did not get awarded. This is our overall process, so you can kind of see how we look at things, how we came to be very detail-oriented and plan out pretty thoroughly as far as going about how we put these projects together. So even up to the point of receiving award and getting ready to closing, there's a lot of steps that go into it before, and that just kind of goes back to our whole approach of trying to do projects that are supported by the community, that fit well. We want to understand what the community needs. We want to make sure that when we propose a project, it's going to work. There's a lot of financial side of things. There's a lot of local support side of things. There's obviously seller, working design. A lot of different pieces go into getting a tax credit award, and it's a very lengthy process. I think the first call I had with Nate was probably in November of last year. We submitted for the credits in February and got awarded in April, and now we'll be closed here in October. So it's a long process to get these projects started, and this is actually one of the faster ones, thankfully, due to the city and the county. And so the support that we're seeking is the final approval of the loan from Pulaski County to the project Willow Creek Villas. We named it that because the subdivision is already called the Willow Creek subdivision. So just added on to that. And terms that were provided in a housing development authority are as below. It'll be $350,000 loan, 15-year term, amortizing 15 annual payment. Based on those at a 2% interest rate, that is cash flow contingent. That is something that we have to set up on the basis of our debt product. We have some requirements as far as debt service coverage that we have to show on the project, and so that's how the one. So there you go. That's the overall proposed layout. 5 buildings there. Kind of the next one showed as well, but you can second. Just kind of wraps around there. We tried to create as much of a community. The goal was to keep it in line with the community as much as possible. Something that would stick out like a sore thumb. So that was the intent on these. Those are the squares you see. Those are all 4plexes. 2 units on each side on the first floor, 2 units on top. Building on the bottom left that you can see there will be a community room that will also utilize daycare services for child care services before and after care, providing playground there. But the goal again is to just make this possible. First floor layout of it, there'll be balconies themselves. Each unit will have an individual entrance, with the first floor having a first floor entrance. Second floor will have an exterior entrance with a walk up. More picture. Yeah, and another kind of feature, when we do these, we really add a lot of services to them. So beyond the daycare side, we're services to help provide services there. We'll provide transit to the residents. Actually, very efficiently, we'll be certified as National Green Building Standard Silver. So only be cost efficient for residents to live there. They'll also be cost efficient to live there from the utility perspective. That's our overall layout. These are all 2-bedroom, 2-bath design that we wanted to appeal to as many residents as possible. We are limited in what we can do from a layout side of things, but the 2-bedroom, 2-bath allowed us to basically tailor these families, for seniors, for single folks. Anybody can, a very kind of livable structure. Up. That's kind of our focus on how we look at things. Our goal is to make these very livable, and going back to the overall unit design, we do high-end finishes on these, but cost-efficient finishes, cabinets that are meant to last, appliances, energy-efficient design. As owners of this property, commit to owning this for a minimum of 15 years, or our plan is to own it for a much longer period, but that's how the tax credit program works. And so when we build these, we intend to build them so that they are as low as possible, that we're not building a product that fall apart in 5 years because we sold it off to somebody else. That's not the approach we take. We really do focus on things that work well for the residents and that are going to last for a long time, so that they maintain well. So here's a little bit of details of the rental housing tax credit program. And this is how we came about to secure the financing for the project, how the project actually works. It's a little unique just because there aren't a lot of these projects that happen every year. It's a federal program that is issued by a state agency. There's a limited amount of credits that are issued to each state. Indiana, for instance, it's about 150 million every year in annual allocation of these credits. So securing 10 million of that is a pretty big deal in the overall allocation of where these credits are going. But they're intended to finance the cost of the project, and in return for financing the cost of the project, we agree to set rents that are going to be restricted to individuals earning 30%, 50%, and 60% of the income. The residents that live there do have to pay their own rent and utilities. It is a program that's set up so that residents that live there do have to be income qualified. They do have to pay their own rent. It's just return for the tax credits that we get. We agree to keep them at a fixed level. You can see where the rents are there below and what the incomes are for folks that are going to be living at the community. So at the lowest level, the rent will be $447 per month plus utilities. On the highest level, will be at 994 units per month. Go along with this, we did a market study that's quantifying the demand, and that was one thing that definitely proved out that there was a big need for housing. Of the fact that this was so adjacent to so many, I think it's within a mile of the 5 largest employers of the county. So there's a big need for this product. And the great part and why it's such a good program is it is for working folks. It isn't a handout program. It's a program that truly is, you have to qualify, live here with your income. You have to show your income certification. There's a very stringent compliance process that we have in place as the project moves along. If we have residents that end up going over income or don't income, they're not allowed to live in the property. They have to show that they have a job, that they have means to support the rent that is charged at the units. So it's a very effective program as far as meeting, supporting and same goes on the senior side as well. Something that if you can see where those income levels are and rents are, it also supports seniors on a fixed income very well. Social Security, sort of pension, so it's typically aligns fairly well with folks that are properties. And then here's our overall timeline. We are looking to start construction start somewhere around September, October of 2024. It truly depends a lot on getting all the ducks in the row from the permitting standpoint, from the financing standpoint, getting all the subcontractors lined up. So right now we're trying to target September. October are likely, but we try to hit September overall goal, trying to achieve. Construction schedule is set at 15 months, looking at completion in December of 2025. The overall lease up is projected at 6 months. That's about 60 units per month of lease up, with fully leased in 6. And then again, just kind of final slide, just reiterating what we're seeking today, the overall commitment for the loan to close with our other financial partners on the transaction, $350,000, 15 term, 2% interest rate. we do need to have that full commitment in order to close on all the funding by September. It's something that we will have on this, the way the tax credits work. We have an equity investor that they come in. They are the ones that utilize the tax credits, utilize money that they give us for the tax credits to fund the cost of the project. They're going to be the biggest driver on making sure all these pieces come into play. They'll want to see full commitment. And then as far as funding of it, it has to occur before the completion or at the completion of the project. Projects submit a certification to the state agency that we've done everything that we said we're going to do from a funding standpoint, from a project standpoint. We also have to show that our project's been leased up to all the qualified tenants. And at that point, that's when we receive credits that investor buying that project. I believe that's it from this point. But glad to answer any questions. Again, thank everybody for support thus far on the project. They have a big impact, I think, providing housing.
Anyone have any questions for John?
Who sets the terms? Commissioner set the terms?
So we just need a motion to say that we're gonna go ahead and do $350,000, right?
Will it be secured?
I don't know what those specific terms are. Like I said, I will ask the commissioners to put Kevin to work with the documents, and I think John's company has some samples from other projects they've done, and we'll obviously secure it. I just don't know what the security will look like until we dive into that. But I'll throw Kevin under the bus and make him be responsible for that part.
You know, can you explain how we got this money real right quick? You know, the revolving loan fund started by
So, well, this wouldn't be out of the RL.
okay, what's it out of?
This would be out of Fund 1112, the Lit Economic Development Fund.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We know where that comes
I mean, one thing I think we need to remember is, there's been between Community Foundation, economic summits, the work Nation's done, and a lot of other groups have identified that this is one of the needs for our community that, not only, hopefully will stem people to want to stay in the community, giving a place to start their life in Willow, but also it's been identified that, we have a lot of folks that work locally that don't live locally because we don't have housing and availability within our community. And I think, this is something that shows that we, put this investment out. It's not money that we're losing. We're getting the money back. It's also paying us interest, so we're making something on the money. But it shows that we're willing to make an investment and to listen once again to those professionals and such that have done a lot of work to identify needs for our community and needs that hopefully will ultimately benefit Pulaski County as a whole.
Thoughts?
I make a motion to move the $350,000 out of the lit fund.
To be advertised.
Yeah.
Or advertise, whatever the next step is.
We'll second that.
Got a motion and a second to advertise $350,000 out of the lit fund. Everybody in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Thank you.
Yeah, much appreciated.
Thank you, John. Moving along, rest of my report, give you a few updates on the courthouse project, starting with finances. Early last week, I submitted disbursement request number 2 to the First National Bank of Monterey. This request included $94,888 in invoices and a reimbursement to the county's Economic Development Fund for everything that's been expended over the last 4 years up to this point in the amount of $1,351,116.78. Disbursement request number 1, which Barnes and Thornburg had submitted directly, totaled $224,000 and covered legal counsel and financial advisors. We have a current balance of $2,243,702.12 in the tranche of funds held directly by the bank as our trustee, and we have $9.38 million in the county-held fund, which we are leaving untouched until we have spent down the share held by the trustee. Per a decision of the Board of Finance, Treasurer Bryant will be investing at least a large portion, if not the entirety, of the county's share of the bond proceeds at $9.38 million. Obviously, this is up to her discretion at the end of the day based on the Board of Finance's instructions. But based on recommendations from our financial advisors and the draw schedule that Ton and Blank provided to me, I advised her that about $4.3 million could safely be deposited in a 3-month CD, with the other $5 million available for a 6 or 7 month CD. At the same time, First National has been looking into more flexible, shorter term options for generating a little bit of interest on the funds that they are holding. Any questions on the finances?
No, I'm glad that, we're moving forward and looking at these options to invest some of this money while we're waiting to use it.
And the project itself, Delta 3 out of Hannah, you've probably driven past their yard on 39, just north of 30. They've been on site since early last week doing excavation work in anticipation of the removal of the retaining wall, the installation of underground site utilities, and the waterproofing of the foundation. We had expected them to begin scraping earth away from the building today or tomorrow, but with all of the rain in the forecast for the first half of the week, our superintendent decided to hold off on this work. Thanks to the coordination efforts of Frayne Mortuary, Akron Concrete Products visited the site today to remove the 3 buried time capsules and to take temporary custody of them until we can rebury them. Initially, we expected that the masons, with an assist from Delta 3, would remove them, but I learned last week that having someone else remove them would void the warranties, and felt that we probably did not want to mess with celebration of the bicentennial in 2 years. Last week, I reported to the commissioners that after a lot of discussion on the matter, we had concluded that we could realistically only save about half of the retaining wall for possible later retention or reinstallation, leaving us to figure out how best to dispose of the rest of it. Since then, a local landowning couple has graciously volunteered part of one of their farm properties that is fairly conveniently accessed from town as a storage area so that we can hold on to the entire wall for now. At this stage, we're not able to guarantee how much of the wall the budget will permit us to reinstall, but we're no longer in the position of risking unloading some of it and then finding out that we could have afforded complete reinstallation. That decision won't have to come until the tail end of the project when we are working on site regrading. It is highly likely that we will be replacing the entire slab rather than just parts of it, a decision that we had made as part of our cost-saving revisions to get the project under budget. Fortunately, we believe that we'll also be making some revisions to the HVAC scope that will reduce costs, allowing us to do this with minimal impact on the budget. Full slab replacement will mean not only that the entire lower level will be of the same stability and consistency, but also that we'll be able to apply a vapor barrier underneath the entire slab rather than installing a barrier in some locations and applying a vapor locking solution to the slab in others. This will provide better protection for the slab and improve air quality in the entire basement. Any questions on project progress or next steps at this time?
No, I'm really glad this last part, I'm glad we will be able to do the entire slab. That will, you know, I think that's money well spent, even if it costs us a little bit.
But yeah, yes, I agree, Ken. And like I said, based on some changes to HVAC scope, we think it'll be pretty minimal. All right, thank you.
All you have? What's this Cybertrack report? That's just our information.
That was the stuff that was left here
Oh,
last month.
Okay, okay.
Just wanted to make sure you all have copies of that.
Appreciate that. Sometimes we need somebody to babysit for us. Remember, it's sitting at the end. Yeah. Hey, Ken, what's this about the health department? Are they not holding
No,
off on that?
Gwen was gonna come and talk to us about, some proposed options that she's looking at in her department for, staffing and all, but, they're not prepared to make that presentation at this time, so they'll be, returning probably in August to talk to us about that.
Okay, well, let's move on to transfers. We got the,
Excuse me, before you want appropriations, can I give you guys my commissary report? I should have given you before the meeting.
sure.
Have a chance to-
Yeah, yeah.
I
Good.
apologize.
No, you don't have to apologize. You're fine.
See if I have any questions. I'll address it when I come up.
So you want to do, got appropriations, we have some transfer for drug-free, 14,000 from and to various line items. Everybody see that one? I don't know.
Okay,
Uh,
so the drug-free community is money that is brought to the county through people who are going to courts to determine that there's fees, it goes to this drug-free community. And there is I think Jeff served on the committee. Is this on? So Jeff served on the committee, correct? There's a committee for the drug-free community. And this particular group is regulated by the state. They cannot spend this money until the state says they can. So I received the stamp of approval from the state that says, yes, you can you can go ahead and spend this money. The last letter I got designated $9,000 out of treatment and this is I have. I think it's treatment and prevention. Yes. So it's treatment and intervention, $9,000. Prevention and education is $9,000 and criminal justice is $9,000 with an administrative fee of $3,000. So this is what the state said is okay. And so every time budget comes around every year, I go ahead and appropriate a certain amount of money based on prior years. And so the appropriations were not correct according to what the state is allowing. So I'm asking for these transfers so we can get those in the right line items so that it can be spent. These are transfers, so that's from what was previously budgeted. We're just transferring the monies to the correct place. And then if you look down, I also have $14,000 that I need additionals for the treatment intervention in the criminal justice, 7,000 each, in order to make up the 9,000 in those line items. So yes, those need to be advertised along with Nathan's 350,000, but the transfers, you just have to approve transfers.
So I'll make a motion to allow the transfer for the drug-free community, and then we advertise the additional for the drug-free community.
So second. I got a motion second to approve the transfer and approve we have, sheriff, we have 50,000 medical, 911. I'm here for the explanation. The 911, yeah, okay. The 911, you can scratch that out. That's a typo. There's no 911 medical. There's a 911 fund. That's just for 911 related items. What this 15,000 is for is because we have no place to transfer it from. We're asking for an additional, which I hate to do, for some medication for a prisoner that was brought up from DOC. They were brought up for a period of time, and they have a certain type of medication where we had to order a minimum of 30-day supply of pills. They come up to use a portion of them, and then got sent back to DOC. That's nobody's fault. I brought up Stephen Tabor to tell you a little bit more about that, my jail commander, just in case you have more questions. The pills rate is $600. They use less than a week of them. We can't return it. We checked. That really gets into our medical supplies. That was nobody's fault. I can't blame anybody for that. So that's the reason for that $15,000 from the county general from our medical. That's the reason for it.
Where was he transferred from?
We have no place to transfer it from.
No, I mean, where was the inmate transferred?
Oh, DOC. Go ahead.
He was transferred up here for, attended court hearing, and he was being held here.
It was how much a pill?
$254 on the bill.
My first question was, well, can't we send them back? They said, well, you can't return those medications.
And they're not responsible for your county for funding his.
I asked the same thing.
Not while they're in our custody.
That's my dilemma when I have these prisoners. I get anywhere between 80 and 100 prisoners. Ask Jeff, I've got to provide this medical. If we take off this life-saving medication, then I open the county up for liability, and I can't do that. So I thought it was.
Well, for the 8,600, why are we,
That's to get us through till the end of the year, because if we don't.
oh, you got other bills besides the 8,600.
I got 80 to 100 prisoners, Mike, and I asked Carrie that today. That was my question. She goes, otherwise we're going to be short. I said, well, can't we transfer somewhere? She goes, I don't know where to transfer it from. So that's my dilemma. I talked to Laura ahead of time about taking it out of county general fund, and that's one place I know to take it from, unless you have any more suggestions, because I have no other options.
Commissary,
That is an option, but I've got other expenses out of there too, so that's why
I see you buy other stuff.
What's that?
I see you buy other stuff, like uniforms and stuff.
Yeah, the top part, I apologize for getting that to you, but the top part is I receive the money in, and the bottom part is the money out. Twice a year, I need to come in here and let you guys know the fiscal body, let the auditor know, that's from January 1st to June 30th, our money in and our money out. The second time is July 1st to December 31st. We keep pretty close tabs on that as we need to. So it shows training expense, well, it shows the inmate phone, we get our income from that, commissary commission, you can go right down through there. It shows you what we put the money out for, so. The reason why that's lower in December is because we pay a lot of contracts at the end of that period of time. We have some cameras we pay for, flock cameras, a lot of other contracts, so that's why that's lower at the end of December 31st. We're trying to see, pay for stuff for the upcoming year, so. And I try and watch that pretty closely.
Can we do partial out of it?
What's that?
Can we do a partial out of the?
I'll do what you guys tell me to do, but I gotta get permission to do that. Because
How about the
there's,
ARPA one?
I don't think the commission's retired. I don't know.
As you
I
know.
think it's buying figure stuff with that.
Well, doesn't all of it have to be allocated by the end of this year?
I think they're trying to hold on to that, make sure we got enough wages on those.
It's gonna run out. You get 7,500 out of this, 7,500 out of this.
it helps rather pay all 15 out of it, Mike. You know, I gotta get permission from you guys in the fiscal body to do that, to be able to pay for stuff like that out of there, since it's medication. So there's 9 items, as you know, that I can pay for out there. And there's 8 specific things laid out. The 9th one is whatever you and I agree upon. And that would be the 9th item. If you say pay part of that out of commissary, I'll be sure to do that. That's why I'm asking.
Is that inmate gone now? She's still there?
Yeah, some of the bills where you're at
And
now.
my frustration level with that is.
I bet it is.
Very high. Nobody's fault. Again, it's nobody's fault, so. That's just one of the things when you deal with prisoners and medication that you have to deal with, so. If you tell me to take 7,500 out of commissary, I will. If you split the other half, it's better than paying all 15 grand out.
Would you be happy with that?
I'd be happy if you had all 15,000, I can live with it, so. You guys have worked well with me, so if you want to do that, we'll do that.
I'd make a motion to take half out of commissary and half out of county general.
Can we add to it a little bit and just make, we can get the sheriff covered as far as spending, that you'll approve him to spend that commissary money?
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah, it's got to be an agreement with you guys and myself to say I can do that.
just put that in the motion somehow, or that we approve him spending 7,500 out of
So we're
commissary.
gonna approve him to take it out of commissary, 7,500.
So he's got a bill for 8,700 right now for the medication. So he's going to pay $7,500 on that bill, and then you're going to put another additional $7,500 in county bill, correct? Is that how we're doing it?
To carry him through the rest of the year, is what I understood.
Yeah, carry it through the rest of the year. So you're,
7,500. So he's paying for most of the medication out of the commissary fund,
Yes.
and then you're giving him an additional in county general.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
got a motion and a second to take 7,500 out of the commissary fund for medicine and then
Advertise for it.
advertise it, yeah. And 7,500 out of the general fund. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Okay. Everybody voted yes.
Who seconded that motion?
I did.
What we'll do is we'll go ahead and pay that bill at 8,600, and we'll be reimbursed back for a small portion of it, so I'll let Terry know that. You guys have any questions on the commissary report, expenditures, receipts, disbursements, anything?
Thank you, I need a motion.
Hey, Chris, can you email me a copy of that so I can have it for my files?
Yes, yeah, I have it. Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're down to approve, sign the regular meeting minutes. Those were emails.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second to approve the regular meeting minutes for 6/10 and 24. As presented, all in favor, raise your hand. Everybody voted yes. Now we got approved revised summary ordinance and revised special ordinance. I have no Microsoft, I didn't get that one, I was see it. You guys get your Microsoft open, Microsoft
can
Office?
Rowing forward your emails to go to your Gmail or wherever, so they'll just automatically go. Or ask Willie, I don't know who's in charge
I
of it.
got mine come on here. Real
Yeah, but
good.
if you just have it go to your Gmail or whatever you have, then they'll open.
They have protections on your email, so if you can't open links from Microsoft, it's
Well, I tried to get it on this today, but I got the minutes, I got agenda, I got other stuff.
I mean, one thing to remember, when you forward them to your personal emails, that makes your personal email subject to any audits by anybody else. Just an FYI, that they're not private no more. Because all of our emails are technically public record.
I don't forward mine, I just look on it, and you guys open, I think, man, this is.
Yeah.
How about budget hearing while we look for this? Is everybody still good with those dates?
This is the
Perfect.
This came from Jenny Shank, right? Laura?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's approving sheriff and PSAP people, highway administration for their bumps,
So longevity bumps.
their longevity bumps, and then there's one, that's one of them. Then the other one was, the revised special pay for the part-time coroner. Where she goes from that monthly thing to the regular part-time pay, so. I'm good for making that motion if there's somebody else second it. I look.
I'll second it.
Yeah, I see that one for Jimmy.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Okay, I got a motion second.
To approve these,
The other ones were just longevity, weren't they, basically?
Yeah.
Yeah.
to approve the salary ordinance and the revised special ordinance. All in favor, signify by raising your hand. Okay, everybody voted yes. You have to raise your hand. Okay, that's why.
Yes, because of
Everybody
me.
voted yes on that. Now we go down to budget hearing discussion. I don't like the 12th and the 13th. That's 16. Why is that? Because I want to go to Montana on the 3rd. I want to be in Montana on the 10th. I don't think I'll be back. I'll probably be back that night for the meeting. But I'm going to keep this farm in Iowa, do the corn. But I don't. I said to a lot of them, when the treasurer comes in, how you gonna cut her budget?
So,
You want to move it out another week?
I don't wanna do it just because of me.
Yeah, I mean,
And I have a problem with the date too, actually.
Well, see, now we got two people. Are you just saying that to be nice?
No, my son goes to college that day.
Oh, well, you're not gonna be here then.
Mm-mm.
yeah, I mean, only bad part is there's a lot of, all the departments and stuff now prepared for that date, so. I know, but some of them have difficulty pulling out at the last minute when we change, so.
Well, it's a month's notice.
I know,
reports are set
I
up.
I took off vacation to be there them days as well, so.
Our meeting's at 12 too.
Okay, so as it sits right now, just so you know, the departments have scheduled a full day on the 12th and only a half a day on the 13th. That's how the schedule is written.
Then we have our meeting that night.
And then you have a meeting on.
That's 6, right?
That's 7. Well, you're right, it is.
Yeah, it's 6, it's a joint.
We get overtime that day. We'll be like,
It was always 12, 13. Yeah, it is.
That's the first appearance, yes. And then on the 12th, that night, joint session, 6 p.m., and council meeting at 7 p.m. And technically, normally, no decisions are made when you do budget hearings. You just, just listen to the departments.
You was only gonna miss one day, right?
I don't even know how much.
Was she gonna go both days or just one?
Are you gonna be, do you miss the 12 meeting too then?
No, it would be the 13th,
Oh,
so I guess the half a day. I just checked. I just asked.
well, I think we should too. Make it, how it goes, it goes, I mean, everybody's been here, been through one of the meetings, and it's kind of a slow day. That's the thing about it's lunch.
Thanks, Laura. Drinks and stuff.
I'm just saying.
So we're good for those dates then?
We're leaving at that, then we got the, public hearing days, the 9th, final adoption on the 14th, so that's our regular meeting, so yeah, be good. So now we got, anybody got any board reports?
I just, I know, kind of back on the, this kind of relates back to the budgets also, but I have talked with the folks that are under my responsibility as liaison, so I hope everybody else has reached out to, I know some people have, but I hope everybody's reached out to those that they're responsible for and have touched base on preparing for the budget hearings.
Sounds good. Any public comment?
If I can give you some information about your Microsoft problem. I had the same problem by email through work, and I've had Roy come in, touch my computer once. The Bruce did it 3 times, he still got me fixed here, so.
I was just gonna hand you my phone.
There you go, right? It's a known issue, there, sometimes, somehow it's directed toward Microsoft Outlook, it's called Microsoft 365. So that might be the same problem. They've been working on it for a week now, so I still have what you did.
Yeah, I know I had an issue with my email. I didn't get any emails until this morning from over the weekend. I'm not sure what that was about.
So Roy's redirected the crews that can help us.
Okay. Well, any public comment? No public comment, sign our papers and no further business. We'll adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
See you, Ken. Hey, Ken, stop and sign
Yeah.
some papers next time you're in town.